One, two, one, two. We are back, the four Bs, but just 50%. Mr. Rollin, aka the $1 trillion man, myself, Sir Neverlook, aka the excellence of execution. No, Mrs. No Show, no surprise there. But also, no Dr. Evil 10%, aka the people's champ. He's on sick leave. I've said that before. What's going on?
Permanent sick note.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, it's an interesting time, I think, in the land of Bitcoin right now. It's we've had a lot of
Mm.
negativity, um, been a bit of a, not as an exciting bull run as previous ones. Lots of big world events happening around it, all influencing Bitcoin. But this week, I think we've got quite a positive show. There's a lot. It just feels like Bitcoin's almost been primed since Satoshi freaking coded it and put it out there just to take over, and
Mm.
it just feels like we're slowly but surely. Gold went first, and silver, and I'm getting messages from people being like, "How much gold you got, mate? How much silver you got?" And it's like, "How much have you got? Come on, that you didn't buy at the top. Like, fuck off. You just know I'm a
Yeah.
Bitcoiner. You know I have no gold. You know I have no silver. Don't ask me questions you know the answers to. And it just feels like Bitcoin's just making a couple of moves. The stats are starting to show that the people that matter, the people that were anti-Bitcoin are starting to
Correct.
enter the fear stage and go, well, hold on, this isn't fair, you know, and and then there's some OGs that are kind of there's some people are selling, but there's quite a lot of buying going on as well, and you just go, it just feels like a volcano, but it's bubbling, and there's some smoke coming out the top. And you go, that's gonna blow that's coming, and it's going to come out of a fucking rocket ship with a big B on it.
We would love it to happen any day soon, but again, as we were talking off air, it's a long time coming. I mean, surely now the four Bs is into its fifth year
Yeah, man, it must
from
be. Yeah,
COVID. Yeah,
yeah.
you
Well,
know,
we're nearly at 200 pods, aren't we? So that's just,
yeah,
if we did it every week, that'd be 4 years. We
yeah,
do not do it every week, especially we must be nearly at 6 years because we miss a lot of weeks. So to
yeah, yeah,
nearly be at 200 episodes, yeah, we'd have to go back and have a look when we first
yeah.
uploaded.
When you think about it like that, yeah, you're right. So, yeah, obviously, COVID was 2020, and I'm sure we probably started then.
It
So,
was it was
yeah,
quite soon after. I'm pretty sure lockdown might have actually still been in place, or it
oh,
might have
yeah,
just
yeah,
been broken. 'Cause I think the first pod was supposed to be at my place, but then people suddenly had problems and couldn't get around, and we decided to do it remote.
yeah,
Then it ended up working better remote anyway, doesn't it? Because
yeah.
we've all got our own setups and no travel time and all that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty sure it's almost just after lockdown stopped, or it was close to that.
Yeah,
Because so yeah, it's probably nearly 6 years. I
yeah,
wouldn't be surprised if we did our first one in 2020 or early 2021.
yeah. It's still going. Here we are.
Yeah, my commitment actually is that I'll keep doing this till the next all-time high.
Mmm.
Because the one thing I don't want to do is like leave this, because at some point it's got to end, right? All things good things got to come to an end, right? But I am not going to do it in a bear market. I refuse.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
so we have to pick, like, we'll know when the time's right, and the price will be at a certain price, and maybe yourself and Doctor Evil 10% are kind of going, I think we're I think we're all right. I think we're handing in P45s and stuff like that, and it's like, maybe now's the time just to hang up the pod. Then let's leave it on a big high.
Even though
End the
we'll all
pod.
have more time on our hands than ever,
I know.
again, we talk about it. We'll,
Yeah,
we'll be living your life.
yeah, yeah. Which I guess we've got more time to do pods, but
Yeah,
yeah, at the same
yeah,
time, what I wouldn't want to do is like end the pod when we've crashed to 5 million a coin, down from 30 million, and everyone's like, oh, you're just leaving because you're salty. But yeah, we're so salty. It's 5 million a coin now. We're so salty.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like,
Bitcoin's crashed. It's crashed.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
crashed to 5 million, and you're out. I bet you bought at the top, didn't you, boys? It's like, yeah, we bought at the top. Yeah. Just
yeah,
keep calling us out. But
yeah.
I just
Early
rather do
adopters.
do a Khabib and tie up
Yes.
top,
Yeah, yeah.
leave the fans wanting more, but let them have no doubt we were tied at the top.
Yeah. I love that.
So right now, like we can't fucking do it. We're 50% below it. The crime continues.
Yeah, yeah. So anyone watching and listening, we're back next week and the week after. It's safe to say. But then saying that again, who knows in this volatile world what's going to happen?
I know it could be at 200K by the morning,
Yeah.
but
That's not our number. For anyone listening, 200k is not the number. I think
but
at least 6 digits.
but talking of 200K, what about 20 mil? We now have officially 20 million Bitcoin out in the world.
Crazy, right?
So taking
Absolutely crazy. Just take that in. 20 million Bitcoin. Only 1 million left, or less than 1 million left to
yeah,
go.
so it took 17 years to mine the first 20 million, and it's going to take another 114 years to mine the final million. But
Yeah.
as we know, most of it will be mined in the next probably 10 or 20 years. Most of that million, it really does just um, scale off. But yeah, it's like basically basically what that means is 20 million, the 21 million Bitcoin are now owned by someone. They've
Mm.
been released by the
Owned or
network.
lost, but yeah,
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 it's out
yeah,
there.
yeah. So there's
We should
obviously a
say.
percent of that is owned by someone, but they've lost access to those coins or they've died or whatever. But that those Bitcoin are out of the network, and there's going to be another million printed out of Bitcoin in the next 114 years. And that is it.
But again, this makes me wonder, why isn't there this frenzy around it? Because if you said there's only 95%, well, there's 95% of something gone and there's 5% left, surely you want that 5%, right? Because otherwise you're out the game completely.
I know,
You know,
but most people you shared a screenshot literally, the other day, one of your close mates
oh
agreeing that Bitcoin is a Ponzi.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's why, right? You tell that guy there's only 5% left of the Ponzi. Yeah, he's going to go, well, good. I hope it dies when the final 5% comes out. Maybe the scam will be realized then. It doesn't. It bounces straight off their skull. That's why.
So true. The next day, actually, I also sent in a message of obviously UK banks and how much you are able to put in fiat in a rolling 30-day window. And the one that comes out trumps is Revolut, to be fair.
Yeah.
Starling, who I have a business account with, you cannot do anything from whatsoever. Like all payments are banned whatsoever. So
Fuck
they're
that.
off the list. Um, Off the top of my head, Barclays was like 10k in a 30-day window. Monzo was 5k in a 30-day window. I think TSB or NatWest I think was just a no, and so on. So yeah, they're making it harder for a reason. It's because it's good. So again, like, it's weird, but these are the buying signals. Again, when Boris said it's a Ponzi scheme, no, that's a buying signal to actually get involved. When you can't get your money in, it means open up multiple accounts and get your money in.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
the
they're trying to
reverse.
stem the flow, aren't they?
Yeah,
I do think that is quite a big reason as to why Bitcoin hasn't had as big a bull market as it had previously.
Yeah.
Because we were talking before we came on air, but the way I got in was just liquidating everything I had and putting it into Bitcoin. Like
But you
everything.
couldn't do that now. You actually,
Yeah, that
yeah,
same thing 10 years later, if I tried to do that today, if that was me, I'd have been stopped.
yeah, your on ramp would not be able to be facilitated right now.
Yeah, it would have taken me at least 6, maybe 12 months
Yeah.
to get everything in. And then and the problem was the 12 months after I got in, it was a bull market and the price of Bitcoin 20x in that time.
Mm,
So it would have been devastating to me if the banking restrictions existed then that do today.
yeah.
It'd have been catastrophic for my Bitcoin accumulation. I'd have potentially 10 times less Bitcoin probably. Now,
Mm,
and the good thing is for the people that are suffering that today, because everybody seems to be under the same restriction. We haven't had Bitcoin 20x in a year for quite a while. So at least it means you've got more time to get in. And because obviously if you'd bought over the last 5 years, you're pretty much at the same price as we were 5 years ago. It's a bit freaking depressing, but we did have a big spike in the middle there where we went up to 130K, but we're kind of back down to 70 now. But still, it's yeah, it's when the banks are restricting you buying a thing, but the banks don't, go and deposit, 50 grand into Bet365 or William Hill. That transaction will go straight through.
yeah.
They don't give a shit about you gambling that money and putting it all on red or, whatever you want to do. But, send that money to a Bitcoin exchange to buy Bitcoin and they'll restrict it. And as much as that's a huge pain in the ass, it's also a huge kind of green light for Bitcoiners to be like, they're worried about us because they are not protecting investors, right? We know they are not protecting investors. If they were protecting investors, they would protect you from sending stupidly high deposits to gambling websites,
Yes, exactly.
and they don't. So if they are perfectly happy with you gambling on whatever, right? You can bet silly money on Elvis still being alive, right? Like for fuck's sake, that's how stupid some of the bets can be, and they're comparing like if that's allowed, but buying 50 grand of Bitcoin is seen as irresponsible and you need to be protected from doing such silly things. You're like, well, how come that guy over there bet 10 grand on Elvis still being alive? I don't even know how he gets paid out either way, because
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's been proven he's dead. So at what point does the bet die? Do they just keep the money? Like, we'll just keep it until like Elvis just wakes up one day and like, I'm fucking here.
Yeah.
Like, when does that die? That bet is like permanently open, isn't it? Like you'd have to set an expiry date on it, something like if he's not alive in the next 10 years, like we're fucking having the money.
Clearly.
Otherwise,
Clearly.
you just be like, the bet's never technically been won or lost. Like, it's just sat in
Yeah.
purgatory. But oh man. But anyway, let's have a look at some data that is more useful than banking data, which is there are some the whales are buying Bitcoin like never seen before.
They're in.
And so we've got new whales that are buying large quantities of Bitcoin.
Wow.
And so this is, the price is staying pretty flat, but as it's gradually rising, I guess. But as
Yeah.
you can see here, for 2021, here's the amount of whales coming in, and then in 2025, and as it hit 2026, it's
Phew.
going absolutely parabolic. So we have some heavy hitters entering the arena that have not been here before, and they are buying in huge volumes.
Do we know if that's institutions or retail?
We don't know. They're just whales.
Yeah. Wales. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be an individual, it could be an institution, but they're buying huge, thousands of thousands of Bitcoin at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're buying tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions, if not billions worth of Bitcoin in single single buys and storing them in single wallets. And because obviously that's how that kind of chart can be picked up, right? There's these wallets that are popping up that suddenly have thousands and thousands of Bitcoin in them that didn't exist before. And the Bitcoin that they own is newly minted Bitcoin. So that shows you, and unfortunately, it tends to be true in a lot of markets, but when the people with money start doing something, it's usually a smart decision to follow that. So
Yeah.
the good thing is we were freaking well before them. So when you see that, you're like, well, I would love to follow that, but I kind of went all in 10 years ago. So it's nice to see him coming in 10 years later. But here we go. It looks like it's the next leg up, basically. You know, when the big money comes in, they buy smart. You know, they don't buy it in a way that pumps the price. They will, you know, they're not like a government when they're dumping thousands of Bitcoin that they've seized off some guy. You know, they dump it stupidly, right? They dump huge quantities every day, and you know, they just tank the price. Um, and that's either incompetence or they're doing it on purpose, right? But when you have billions and you've decided, you know what, I want to put 10 billion into Bitcoin, and there's smart ways of doing it that ironically won't pump the price. You know, they literally will look for low liquidity days, you know, days that maybe there's a bit of negative news, and they'll just all the Bitcoin that people are looking to sell, they'll just pick that up. They'll just buy it. And they'll just sit there and go, we'll only buy what people want to sell. And so the price that basically doesn't move, but the fact that we've been ticking up nice and neatly over the last couple of weeks, it does indicate that there's a number of people doing exactly that. And they're getting a little bit frustrated because they're buying the
Yeah.
Bitcoin that people are selling and a little bit more. They don't want to go
Yeah.
too far because they don't want to start the bull run, right? Because they don't want to be like, I want to get my 10 billion in below 100K.
Yeah.
And once it goes over 100K, they probably know that quite quickly 200, 300, 400K comes. You're like, well, I'm going to have four times less Bitcoin if that happens. So I'm willing to wait and let's
Do it
wait a
sensible.
year, drip feed this money in. But the problem is they're outed, right? Because we can see them on the blockchain, we can see their wallets, and there's a load of people accumulating hundreds of Bitcoin a day. It's adding up to thousands, and the people with the money tend to know what they're doing with it, and they're bound Bitcoin.
Yeah. I always wondered why, if there are multiple multi-millionaires out there and they get it in terms of Bitcoin, if every millionaire just simply bought Bitcoin or our Bitcoin, then again we would surely skyrocket in terms of price. But it doesn't seem to happen. But here we're seeing on-chain data of people buying in large chunks. Why hasn't it skyrocketed the price? Maybe because they are drip feeding and DCAing, but I just expect more, especially with the institutional buying as well, which is again why I asked about that.
Yeah, well, who there's not that many institutions buying it other than the treasury companies and fucking MicroStrategy, which don't know if you've been following MicroStrategy recently, but Jesus Christ, they've been buying like they bought 1 billion, I think 2 days ago, and like
Oh wow.
they're it's now like how we said they wouldn't get to 1%, 210,000 Bitcoin. I think they're now at 700,000. It's that people are now going, are they going to get to 10%? Like I didn't think they're going to get to 1%.
Yeah.
I honestly thought the price was going to get ahead of them, but unfortunately the price came back. Their buy volume went up, and the price of Bitcoin halved. So it suddenly became possible. But once they were like they were mucking about, right, where they were buying like 25 million here, 200 million there. But recently they've started to buy billions worth of Bitcoin in a single buy.
It's crazy. So they now own 738,731 Bitcoin, which represents roughly 3.5% of all
Mm.
the Bitcoin in circulation. And that
Yeah.
was from their recent filings in March 2026. So the acquisition that they just did was of 17,994 Bitcoin to take them to that to that value, with an average buy price of between 66 and $74,000 per Bitcoin. So at the minute, obviously, whilst it's low, they are decreasing their average buy price because they were buying slightly higher. Crazy, absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
From 2021 to where they are right now, that is the definition of all in, and it kind of turns the game on the head in the on its head in the fact that 2021, yeah, they were around, but when Bitcoin does eventually do what it's going to do, MicroStrategy will be the number one company in the world. Michael Saylor could equally be the richest person in the world with his own private Bitcoin holding as well, which will only continue to go up forever, Laura.
Well, I think he's the main shareholder in MicroStrategy. So
As well as his own,
when
yes.
he owns 10% of the global supply of money, it doesn't make me comfortable. I'll be honest. It does not make me comfortable. It doesn't make me comfortable with the amount of coins Satoshi has. And then, but the good thing is with him, at least um, he doesn't appear to be around. Doesn't seem to have access to them, so it doesn't really matter.
Mm,
But Michael Saylor is very much around. But the thing is, he's done it freaking right out in the open, hasn't he? So
yeah,
it's not like he's some shadowy figure that's just going to come out in a couple of years when Bitcoin hits its £1 million price, and he's just going to be like, "Surprise, motherfuckers! I own everything." And you're like, "Who are you?" He's like, "I'm Michael Saylor, and I own 10% of Bitcoin, and I am now richer than America." Like it's
yeah,
just
yeah,
I like forget trillionaire. Then they're going to need to come up with a new name for whatever is above that. It's quadrillionaire, centillionaire. Like
yeah.
and it's gonna be a very interesting dynamic to go. Obviously, we live in that world now, right, where
Yeah.
fiat exists, and we all fight for the crumbs, and there's a couple of people at the top that pretty much own probably 1% each, say,
Yep.
of like 20 to 30% of the world, and then the rest of us just share out the rest. And they are uber wealthy, right? They're trillionaires, and they are not listed in any Forbes top 500 freaking rich list. Nah, that's a fake list. The richest people are not counted on there. But it's gonna be interesting when the Bitcoin revolution happens and Sailor's right up there on his own.
Yeah.
I'm not
I do
sure how
think,
happy I am about that, but it is what it is, right? It's just fucking free. It's freedom money, so everyone's fucking free to buy it. He's the mad fucker that went and took a load of debt to buy it, and it's gonna work out, isn't it? But yeah,
it was one of the things where, again, when I got that message about it being a Ponzi scheme, I just didn't have the energy. We're 10 years, 15 years into this. And to kind of say, well, the white paper came out before the fact that the actual process of Bitcoin started. So the white paper came out in August of 2008, and then Bitcoin started in January 2009. So you can't really start a Ponzi scheme without kind of telling everyone, hey guys, this is what I'm about to do. So it's not. And there's a really good video by Lynn Alden as well, where she's talking to a guy, I think his name's like something, maybe like James Lynn or something like that, yeah. But essentially she explains what a Ponzi scheme is and why, again, Bitcoin is not a Ponzi scheme. So yeah.
yeah. Well, Ponzi schemes they tend to they only have one crash, right?
Mm.
It's because once the people investing in the Ponzi scheme realize it's a Ponzi, panic sets in, everyone rips their
Mm.
money out, and it crashes to zero extremely quickly. And there's no recovery. There's no like someone else finds it and like, oh no, this is a good investment. It's like no, the entire thing has crashed, and the person that said they were investing in X that gave a 20% return, say, it's been revealed that they weren't investing at all, and all they were doing is taking the new money, giving it to the original investors, and then they need to get new money in to give it to them, and eventually they run out of people to scam, and then it
Yep.
all collapses. So
Yeah.
it's one and done basically. It's like a shitcoin. You know, you scam, you pretend something is a thing, and then everyone realizes the thing isn't real and it crashes to zero. That's a Ponzi.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, Bitcoin's been around for 17 years and it's had multiple 80 to 90% crashes, which you could say is Ponzi-like, right? You could say that. You could. Um, but then it recovered. And not only
Yeah.
recovered to its original price, but then 10x'd it from there. You go, well, why would that ever happen? Why Ponzi schemes can't recover because they're not based on anything. They were based on a lie. So once the lie is revealed, the project is dead. So if Bitcoin's lie has been revealed, then it's been revealed about 7 times over the last 17 years. And for whatever reason, people have just been, memory gapped, and then they just carried on buying it. It's but yeah, get clearly. We'll get to that anyway, because before we get to him, we have two politicians. We have one. So this Kwasi Wartang, whoever the fuck this guy is, I do recognise him. Former UK Chancellor, who
Yes.
interestingly, as you will see by his Twitter bio here, he's a Bitcoin Treasury kind of guy. He's a former UK Chancellor, co-founder of Stack Bitcoin Treasury, driving Britain's Bitcoin future. Stack BTC underscore.
Mm.
So obviously he's clearly deleted all his tweets previously. He's only got 65 tweets on here. I can almost guarantee he had a shit ton more that he probably didn't want Bitcoiners to have a look through because he's full of fucking shit probably and shilling fiat bollocks.
And
But
he's changed tact
he
from
has
where he
changed
once
that.
was. Yeah.
Probably because
But
it
like a
lines his pocket.
politician.
But, we'd like to think he believes this shit, right? Because when you read his little tweet here, it's quite good. So here's the uncomfortable truth. British political class is years behind when it comes to Bitcoin and digital assets. We're asleep at the wheel. Too many people in Westminster are happy to dismiss it with a throwaway lines about Ponzi schemes without having spent a few hours or days understanding what it actually is. Bitcoin didn't appear in a vacuum. It's the latest chapter in a very long story, the evolution of money itself. That's the bit that kind of got me. I was like, yes, yes, yes. That's exactly. People need to look at that. From gold to paper backed by gold to purely fiat currencies controlled by central banks. Anyone who has seriously studied that history can see why a decentralized monetary network with fixed supply was inevitable. Like, is this safer, Dean? Like, this is, yeah, it's less profanity, but
Mm.
it's like, it's spot on. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean every crypto project has merit, far from it. Well, definitely, crypto, fuck that. But confusing Bitcoin with the worst excess of the crypto industry simply reveals lack of understanding and full transparency. This was once my view also before I took the time to learn. So I think that's quite insightful as well. Separating Bitcoin from crypto, that is a step that everyone has to take.
Correct.
Because if whilst you're in there, whilst you're in crypto land, yeah, it's full of scams and full of bollocks. So you won't learn anything in there. But once you hit Bitcoin, that's when you start studying money and da da da. It's all good. Britain should be leading the conversation about the future of money and financial infrastructure. Don't give a fuck about that. Instead, far too many of our decision makers are trying to understand the last one. Bitcoin is the future. So that's a very
That's what you
positive
need. Yeah.
statement. And let's just balance that out, right? Here's fucking Boris. Boris, I've long suspected Bitcoin is a giant Ponzi scheme, and now I'm hearing tales of woe that make me fear I'm right. He writes a long article on the Daily Mail, and last time I clicked this, it was behind a paywall. Let's see if it still is. It is.
Hmm.
It is still behind a paywall.
And that'll be, I'm sure, I guarantee you, if you were able to go into it, it wouldn't be Bitcoin. It would be some sort of shitcoin that they're referring to, but the headline, of course, reads Bitcoin.
It
But
was
no one
interesting that you
ever
have to say
reads.
crypto there, then, isn't it? Like,
Correct, correct. It's interesting that they haven't said crypto and they've purposefully said Bitcoin, but I think, I'd put money on it. The actual article means crypto
yeah.
and reads crypto.
But this is where the what's this called again? Readers added context. But Ponzi scheme issuers promise artificially high rates of return with little or no risk. Bitcoin has no issuer, and its value is purely determined by the free market. The code is totally public and opt-in. Nobody can force you to run any particular version. So, literally, by definition, Bitcoin cannot be a Ponzi. Impossible. It can be a bad investment.
Yes.
It might fail. It might blow up. But what it 100% is not is a Ponzi. So there's Boris Johnson, ex-Prime Minister of the UK, which admittedly he's a bundling fucking idiot. I think he's one of those useful idiots. He's quite good at, you give him some lines and then just go say that to a load of people. He's good at getting it out there. He's good at getting headlines. He's good at just bundling as well through shit. But yeah, let's just keep up the pace, eh? And we got some. I love these bankers moving on from politicians to bankers, and they're getting fucking worried. They're hating it. So the European Central Bank published a paper warning stablecoin adoption could pull deposits out of the banking system. I want you to read that again slowly. So they've literally published a paper, and they are worried. And this is the weird thing, right? There's fucking whoever her name is. And they are totally terrified of stablecoins because essentially they give you way more interest and they give you all of the interest instead of the banks taking the majority of it. And they hate
I want
that.
to say Gallard or something.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But who cares? Let's move.
Yeah.
There's the other one, who's the JP Morgan guy,
Jamie
Dimon. And let's listen to him. He's really upset about stablecoins as well. And ironically, the guy that owns or is the CEO of the biggest banking institution in the world is worried about stablecoins having an unfair advantage over him. Let's see what you got to say.
You and your peers have reportedly clashed with Coinbase's Brian Armstrong over the Clarity Act and specifically this idea of crypto exchanges offering rewards for stablecoins. And Armstrong was on CNBC with Sarah Eisen a few weeks ago from Mar-a-Lago, and he said there's a path forward for the market structure bill that's a, quote, win-win outcome for everyone. How are you feeling about it right now?
The banks feel strongly that there should be, rewards are the same as interest. And that, a compromise would be that you could pay rewards on transactions, not balances. If you are going to be holding balances and paying interest, that's the bank. You should be regulated by a bank. So we've been firm. One thing over here, yes, but if you want to be a bank, become a bank. Then you can do whatever you want under bank law. So I remind people, and your viewers may not know, banks have restrictions and requirements. FDIC insurance, AML, BSA. We have Community Responsibility Act, which means we have to open 25% of our LMI neighbors. We have social requirements. We have liquidity requirements, capital requirements, transparency requirements, reporting requirements, board requirements, government's requirements. If they want to be a bank, so be it. So what we base is level playing field by product. It can't be you have these people doing one thing, without any regulation like that, and these people do another. And if you do that, the public will pay. It will get bad. So people should take a deep breath at what is you want, and we want competition. We're actually one of the biggest users of blockchain, and we created the JP Morgan deposit coin. We've moved money real-time payments. We're moving a lot of data now using blockchain. So we're in favor of competition, but it's got to be fair and balanced, level playing field. It's not. It can't be completely skewed.
Not happy that they don't have the upper hand.
I love how during that defense he's going, banks have to do all this regulation, AML, KYC, like transparency report, like, da, 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 da. Literally, those are the regulatory moats that have protected the banking system for the last 50, 100 years. That they have gradually grown those to make sure that no new banks can enter the system and challenge them. It's why it's only in the last 10 years some challenger banks have popped up. But guess what?
Yeah.
We say they're challenger banks. They're all backed by one of the big five banks anyway. They're not challenging shit. It's just a feeder bank of one of the bigger banks. And what's popped up are stable coins, which are paying 4, 5, 6, 7%, some of them. And he's raging because he's realizing if this goes mainstream, people are going to be pulling their deposits out of the banks, putting them into stable coins. And all the stable coins really do, and a lot of the stable coins, especially which one is it? Tether.
Yes.
It's backed by gold and a load of like bonds and and fiat, but it pays out decent percentage rates. And guess what? They give you the user the majority of it. I personally wouldn't bother messing with it. Obviously, I'm Bitcoin through and through. That
Same.
it is what it is, right? I don't need an interest rate or anything off of Bitcoin. I've got my cut of the 21 million. That's good enough for me. But the stable coins are entering the market, and obviously we know that interest rates clearly, like people like Jamie Dimon are going, oh yeah, we give our customers like 5%, but really the interest rate is more like 7, 8, 9%, and they take loads of that. They cream that off the top, and then give the customer whatever's left, and then give them a load of crappy products, and obviously then make sure no other entrant can enter banking and go, you know what? We could actually give the people 8%. It's sat there. If we can make money somewhere else, we could actually attract a load of customers, pay them 8% interest on their money, on their savings. And if we can still make them take their mortgage out or take loans out through us, we make our money through that.
Yeah.
But they've made sure nobody can do that because it's a monopoly from, well, it's not a monopoly, it's a closed market. Basically, it's the regulatory moat that exists around the top 10 banks in the world, and no one else can enter. And then stablecoins come along, and this guy has the balls to go, it's not fair. They haven't got they haven't got over the regulatory moat, but they're delivering the products that we can deliver, much low value. It's like, guess what? This is called disruption. This is what happens to every industry. You've been around for 100 years doing it one way, but then essentially Bitcoin came along, someone pivoted that and created stable coins off the back of it. And guess what? Savings now, even if you want to save in the US dollar or in the pound, if that's what you believe in, you can buy a stable coin of the dollar or of the pound that will track it and will pay you higher interest than any UK or American bank will. And they can see their customers taking their deposits out and putting in stable coins.
Correct.
Just to earn 1-2% more. Because why not, right? Why give that 1 or 2% to the bank? Why not take it for yourself? And he's crying foul. That's not fair.
Ultimately, when people are, as we were saying, in terms of the on-ramp of putting money into a bank as well, when they're not doing that, then they can't leverage the money in the bank as well. So they want to control that. I'm pretty surprised that we haven't already seen maybe limits on what people can take out of the bank being lowered. I mean, it's already, for some banks, it's certain obviously values, but or maybe you need a longer days notice, like maybe 1 to 2 days or more, if you're going to transfer larger amounts, and so that they can kind of move the money around, so there's not a bank run. It's your own money, by the way, but in terms of a bank run, and they don't have the capital there. So yeah, it's all these things that they're now screaming about. But what to me is super interesting is the fact that you could have came in early, bro. But you were poo-pooing on Bitcoin for so long that you missed the boat, and now you're trying to catch up.
Yeah, it is funny how he's gone the full transition, isn't it?
Yeah, with the biggest
It was only a
blockchain
couple of years
users.
ago he was telling us it was a complete scam,
Oh, of course.
and now he's like, "Oh, we're the number one users of blockchain."
Yeah,
Like, who told you that, bro? Who fucking told you? JP Morgan, one of the number one users of blockchain, because that is a scam metric if I ever heard one. Because
I
it's one of
remember.
them where you go, well, how many transactions Bitcoin done, right? And you'll look at it and it'll be like, boy, trillions of things, right? And you just be like, right, fire up a little blockchain on some kid's computer down there, link it up to a £10,000 computer, and just make it do 1,000,000,001 transactions. Just sending it like money to itself. Like, it's not even money, just sending numbers backwards and forwards, literally trillions of times. It might take 6 months to run, but at the end of it, you can go, we're the number one blockchain company in the world, bigger than Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You're like, no, but do you know what's amazing about Bitcoin's 1 trillion transactions? The fact that it was individual, peer-to-peer, censorship-resistant transactions.
Yeah,
That's what's amazing about it. That these were, the opportunity to scam or steal was always there, to undo a transaction, to double spend a transaction, to not send the money at all, to trick the person on the other end. Not once has that happened in any of the Bitcoin transactions. You press send, it goes to the address you sent it to every time without fail. Whereas you just fire up some random fucking computer, put a random blockchain on it, and then just start sending transactions in and out. No one gives a fuck, mate. Doesn't matter how many you do in there. Like, it's just it's an Excel database. You've created an Excel database and you've added 1,000,000,000,000 rows. Congrats. You spent tens of thousands of pounds on hardware. For what? To like dunk on Bitcoin to go, oh, we've done more transactions than you. Okay. Were yours decentralized? No. Well, fuck off then. Was one of them decentralized? Fuck off then. Fuck off, Jamie. Anyway,
spent way too much time on him.
I do enjoy dunking on him. All right, next story. So, yeah, the good old privacy issues in Bitcoin. Why central banks are not going to buy. Yes, this it seems to be coming around a few times. So Chamath, who's one of the early guys in Facebook, and then Ray Dalio is obviously the fourth turning guy and one of the most famous investors of all time. But this is interesting because this is one that I probably actually have more sympathy with and actually agree with more than other negatives on Bitcoin. And it is basically that because you can see, if you know who owns an address, essentially you know that they've sent money. And if you know who they sent it, if you know the address they sent it to, then and you know who they are, then you can also basically know that these people are doing business with each other. And it's a privacy issue, right? It's by and large, people might say, "Oh, I don't care about that," but it's like, well, if someone kind of knew who you were paying and or who you were getting paid by, I think that'd be a little bit of an invasion of privacy, and it is, and it is. And the problem with Bitcoin is exactly that is true. We need transparency on the blockchain to know how many Bitcoin there are and how many there are in circulation. We need to make sure we haven't gone over the 21 million limit. So the the sender and the receiver are listed there, not as names, but as numbers. But if it, for whatever reason, those numbers get turned into names, then suddenly you can look back and go, well, now we know this number is that name. Let's track back or track forward. And we can suddenly now, essentially, it's like your bank account has been doxed. And it's like your Twitter being doxed, like you're on there as to never look. And someone's like, who's this fucker? And then one day someone like, it's da da da. And they're like, that fucker. Like, they can follow you forever, right? And they can, from that, they can link into your job, into everything. And it's like, into your wife, into your children, into whatever. And you're like, oh, what the hell's happened here? So obviously we've got Lightning. Lightning is got privacy installed as standard, which for day-to-day transactions, that'd be the case. Which I think is my answer to this, really. Because they're basically going, oh, central banks aren't going to buy Bitcoin, da da da. Right, well, number one, I don't give a fuck about central banks buying Bitcoin. Yeah, of course they're not going to buy Bitcoin. They literally are sat next to the money printer. Why would they print money to buy Bitcoin? It makes no sense. So I don't care why central banks, but I do think the privacy concern is potentially in other people's heads. So it's why it's probably more interesting. And but I think as this all plays out, this privacy concern is only a temporary thing. And whilst Bitcoin is below, £1 million a coin, then we have a privacy concern. But after that, all day-to-day transactions move to Lightning, which privacy is installed as standard. And the only time you ever move Bitcoin on layer 1, where privacy potentially is a concern, is from a hardware wallet that you own to an exchange that is yours, where you're going to probably sell some.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, where's the privacy concern there? I don't really have a problem with that. So it's probably a bit of a nothing burger, really. But it's not ideal. I think if I could choose, Bitcoin transactions were private, I'd definitely pick it. But there are drawbacks.
Say what you just said again.
There are drawbacks.
You'll have to say what you said again. Just a bit choppy there.
Oh, sorry. So the privacy issue is very real. And if I could redesign Bitcoin again, would I press the button to put privacy on as standard? I would put it on if there's no side effects. However, I think there are side effects. And a big side effect of privacy in a coin is the fact that if all the transactions are private, you don't know how many of the coin there are. Because you're not tracking all the coins going from place to place. You need to make sure that where are the 21 million Bitcoin? You need to know where they are. You need to know what addresses they're in. If it's all private, you don't know. So this is why people like me didn't design Bitcoin. And I think layer 2, putting day-to-day transactions on Lightning instead is a much smarter play, and then it all gets reconciled back into layer 1 Bitcoin later. But it is interesting though that people like Chamath and Ray Dalio, who I think we both pretty much like, have literally expressed that they're not too keen on Bitcoin at the moment because of privacy concerns. And who knows how many other people are like that, because technically, obviously, the banking system is very private, right? When you buy something on your banking card, in reality, like every fucker that you don't want to know, knowing that information does know, which is the government and everybody around there. They all know every single transaction you've ever done, right? They just have to press a button. AML and KYC literally tell you that any transaction over a certain value gets reported.
Yeah.
But your next door neighbor doesn't know. The guy you play football with doesn't know what you spend your money on. So you got privacy amongst your network, and in Bitcoin, there is a chance that inside your network, someone finds out where your address is and not only knows what you're spending your money on, they know how much money you've got. Because once they know that you've made a transaction, you can track it back to that address and go, holy shit, I didn't know you had that much money, that much Bitcoin. And suddenly people start acting a bit weird around you, like, what's going on here? And it's like, they've had a little glance at your bank balance on your phone, and it's got 80 figures on there. You're like, oh, I didn't know you were rolling like that. And and that's obviously not ideal. People should be able to keep that to themselves. And in Bitcoin land, it isn't always going to be the case.
I definitely think, again, when Satoshi set out for this money to be private, while saying no, they can't stop it, trying to, I don't know, de-anonymize it, if that's a word, is essentially their key thing, to your point, revealing the Bitcoin wallets or tying the Bitcoin wallets, doing KYC because it's for the good of everyone. And obviously we know when we laugh about that, like, it's not, and then as we'll come on to our next story as well, where does that information then go to, and who knows about the fact that you've done certain transactions? We know that there's been a bigger step up from the exchanges in terms of looking at people's transactions as well, and so that they can report on it and potentially collect taxes on it. I mean, we know that people are doing trades all the time. They're not even thinking about reporting that as gains or even losses. It's just, I'm doing it and it is what it is. Come and get me. So, yeah.
Sweet. So we have I swear we need a paid sponsorship from Kraken. Like, the amount of times I fucking show them on this, but my cold's really kicking in now as well. I'm starting to feel it. But basically, Kraken, a Bitcoin exchange, has been plugged into the Federal Reserve. Not a partnership announcement, not a pilot program, not exploring blockchain. The US Central Bank has opened its doors to crypto. So yeah, I've read this on numerous sites, and I still don't totally know what it means, if I'm being perfectly honest. But apparently, Kraken has been integrated and plugged into the Federal Reserve. I don't know why the Federal Reserve needs a direct link into Kraken, but they have one. And so that doesn't mean they can just buy Bitcoin and shitcoins with freely printed money. But people seem to be seeing it as a really, really big thing. People are really, really excited by it. And it seems to be a big tick on the list of things that Bitcoin and crypto needed. Because it is two parallel universes,
Is it a
The
case
banks are
of
on one
the fact
side,
that,
it's literally like they're letting us into their walled garden, right? It's
yeah. Will they
a bit
use
bizarre, isn't
Kraken
it?
as their exchange to potentially put to buy Bitcoin within their central reserves?
Well, that's the thing. I don't know. I don't know why they
It
plugged it
doesn't
in.
explicitly state that, but I'm
Because
just, yeah,
they could have brought it without plugging it in. That's the thing.
correct. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
any fucker can buy Bitcoin. If anything, if I was the Federal Reserve, I wouldn't plug it in because it's gonna, it like this news would potentially 10x the price of Bitcoin, right? Like, oh my God, the Federal Reserve's about to buy Bitcoin. They could buy $1 trillion worth tomorrow, and that doubles our market cap overnight. So that's going to triple the price, quadruple the price. So it's, I don't really know what they're doing. But again, it is funny, isn't it? Like, you got Jamie Dimon going, "Oh, I want fair competition." You got the Federal Reserve plugging in Kraken, and you got Boris fucking Johnson going, "It's a Ponzi scheme." Like, hold on. is it a Ponzi or is it integrated into the Federal Reserve? Or is it unfair against banks? Pick one, guys.
Yeah.
Like,
Which one?
like
But that's
your argument's a scattergun at the moment. Like,
yeah.
we're either a massive threat, we're a Ponzi. Like, you just, guys, align on your like attack on Bitcoin, align on it, and pick an argument and stick to it. Because at the moment, by scattergunning everywhere, it's making yourself look silly.
Well, it does to the educated, but to the uneducated, it just puts them off and makes them think, I don't want any part of that, whether or not it's whichever story that you pick. So if I did not know about something and I didn't have the motivation to really look into it, I'd just be like, yeah, that's not for me.
Yeah.
So
I think
they're
you
doing
are
the
right,
job.
yeah.
They're doing the job, even though they're not doing the job properly. It's still working out for them.
Yeah, yeah, you are right. Because like the financially literate people
Yeah.
are watching the Jamie Dimon interview, and they're like reading that article, but then the financial illiterate people are reading the Daily Mail, watching Boris Johnson say it's a Ponzi scheme. There's two different audiences there.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. And there are more financially illiterate people, and once they hear that, then, as we know, it takes a lot for them to go from financially illiterate to literate. So they'll always hold that in their mind, and to turn that around and rewire that will be super difficult. And you'll hold that thought and that belief for forever until you find somebody that actually takes them through it, or they then become a little bit open-minded as opposed to closed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's only when you condense it all like we do that you see how ridiculous it is. But yeah, you're right. If you just see one bit of this, it doesn't matter what negative they're saying.
Correct.
It plays into your biases. So if I'm a banker and I learn about Bitcoin, I know it's not a Ponzi, but then I learn, but they're not playing by the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not fair. So that turns me against Bitcoin because they're not playing fair in the banking world. How dare they? They're not protecting the customer well enough, and that negative works for me there. But then if you don't know anything about that and you just go, it's a fucking Ponzi, you're like, yeah, that works for the layman, doesn't it? Like, that doesn't know anything. And there's not many people that will see both.
No.
Probably only Bitcoiners like us.
Correct.
That are like
you're spot on there.
Stories. Good, but there's no average person out there that's read both those articles, is there? That watched Jamie Dimon on there saying it's not fair, and also read the Daily Mail article from Boris saying it's a Ponzi scheme. There's not a single average person that read both of them.
Yeah, the exposure is so low.
As always, their FUD game is unmatched. Fair play. But let's end on a whimsical note. We've got a very expensive watch, 40K. It's a watch and it mines Bitcoin. 44mm black DLC titanium skeleton. Limited to 100 units, all got the scarcity going.
Scarcity.
Hand wound movement. Bitcoin themed bridges. Blockchain certified certificate. 1,000 terahash of hash power on Go Mining's data. You can buy the watch and then it'll just mine Bitcoin for you in the background. Look at it. It's like a watch and stuff.
I actually quite like it. Do you think this could be the future? In terms of, obviously, Jacob & Co. is a huge watch brand from a watch brand perspective. 44mm is pretty big in terms of, it's big. It's not like, it's more like a Garmin, basically. It's
Oh,
like
is it?
type of stuff. Yeah, like
Yeah, I
that
must admit,
type of
I did think
style.
it's like it's got to be pretty big, and it's got a fucking miner in there.
Yeah, yeah, it will be big, and can't really tell from obviously this picture in terms of the video, but the depth of the watch would be interesting as well as obviously the circumference of it. But it's not your for your average like it would drown you or me.
Oh, is it? Yeah, a bit big because
Yeah.
it 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 seems to amaze me. I have read some reviews on it and stuff where they claim that um the hash power that it claims to have seems to be crazy high for the size that it is. It
Mm.
seems to be that it probably isn't as powerful a miner as it claims to be. And clearly, if you've got 40 grand to spend and you want to mine Bitcoin, this is not the way to do it.
Yeah.
It's clearly not. If you're sat there in billionaire status and you want to drop your money on a watch that I don't know, it's one of those weird things, isn't it? If you've got that much money, you don't even care about your watch mining Bitcoin, do you? Like, what's the
No.
point? Um, so
I mean, it pays back according to its stats. Just checking in terms of like in just under 6 years.
yeah, I've heard that actually.
And also, if you're even lucky enough to get it anyway, you
There's
could
only 100 of
always,
them, yeah.
yeah, you can always sell it on, and you'll get your money back straight away anyway. So it's
Oh,
if
fuck it, I'm buying one
yeah, if you're in the
then.
yeah, if you're in the exclusive club to be able to get it in the first place or be offered it, then it's definitely worth the money all day long. It's a watch from Jacob. There's only 100, and you're going to get your money back on top of the fact that it's already so rare. It's a no-brainer.
So,
Yeah,
there you go. There's your investment idea then. Go drop 40K in that one.
yeah. And of course, you've got the utility of it in terms of wearing it as well. So yeah, you're not losing money.
Well, you're losing
Uh,
40 grand up front.
yeah, but as most watches are, it's super liquid
You
in
don't
terms
so, wouldn't you? Yeah, you don't so.
in terms of you go to a dealership and they know, most watch dealers will know, and obviously you tell them it's only one off 100, it does this, it's selling and it's going straight away.
Yeah. If it breaks though, who do you take your watch to if that one breaks?
Back to Jacob.
'Cause it's one of them, isn't it? Like it's yeah, a
Yeah,
watch
it'd be
repair be
interesting.
like, oh, but it's
Yeah,
got a Bitcoin miner in it. Like, oh, do I need a
yeah,
techie or do I need a watch repairer? So yeah, 'cause I have heard that I have seen that the stats that are presented with the hash power that this watch has, yeah, it does pay back quite fast. Um,
yeah.
but people have gone, there's no way it has that. It's so small. Because like miners, obviously they get hot. You have a really
Mm.
sweaty wrist for the rest of your life.
Again, they must have found a way, a cooling system or something within it.
Yeah, I just don't buy it. I'd imagine it's going to be one of those watches. It's like, oh yeah, put it in its little case that's got like a little fan on it, and
Yeah,
you leave it on the side as a display. Like, well, if I'm going to do that, it might as well just be in a freaking big square box, mate. And
yeah.
not cost 40 grand, and instead cost about 5 grand. For a normal Bitcoin miner.
I know we're talking
But
about.
hey, rich people in their money will be separated.
Um, what's the car that the Cristiano Ronaldo loves? I want to say like, just trying to
What,
think what it
Bugatti?
is. It's like a Bugatti, but it's not. It's got quite a few. Cristiano Ronaldo, most expensive car. Yeah, it might be a Bugatti.
That's the car
Yeah,
that like they only
yeah,
make
yeah,
like
yeah.
30 of
It
a
is
year.
actually. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, you're right. So Jacob and Co have made like a Bugatti style watch, and it's like a tourbillon watch. So it's basically a Bugatti engine in the watch. And where I'm going with this is like their craftsmanship is really high end. So to the point of where we're talking about miners getting really hot, they will have already figured that out.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if it isn't mining shit. Instead, it's probably sending a signal to a miner that they host somewhere else. That's the only thing I can think. Like, there's no way the mine's in the watch. I just don't believe it. I don't believe the processing power is possible to be in a watch at this point. So instead, it's just like a receiver of how much mining power essentially you rented from them. So by paying 40 grand, they'll buy you 5 grand worth of mining gear at their base, like one miner. And if your one miner fucking hits something, or they'll put you in a pool anyway.
Yeah.
I think they said they're going to put you in like a big pool. So every time that pool makes some money, they just send you watch a bit of like data to go, yeah, you've made this. I'd imagine it's something like that, because I just can't believe it. Like, miners are noisy and hot. You don't want a noisy hot watch. You just fucking don't. Yeah. Especially paying 40 grand for it. You want it to sit silently in the background and do nothing until you look at it. And then even then you can barely tell the time on these things.
Yeah.
Then you end up looking at your phone and going, what time actually is it? Yeah. And by the way, what am I meant to be doing right now? Oh shit, I'm late for a meeting. Yeah. Anyway. I'm for bed, full of cold, but summer's nearly here, right? Sun's out today. Sun's going to stay out. Bull market's coming back.
And there we have it. Exactly. Right. Well, that was another pod 192, brought to you by Mr. Orlin, aka the $1 Trillion Man, myself, Sir Neverlook, aka the Excellence of Execution, no Dr. Evil 10%, aka the People's Champ, and surprise, surprise, no Mrs. No Show. Peace.